This is Identity at the Center.
Welcome to the Identity at the Center podcast. I'm Jeff, and that's Jim. Hey, Jim.
Hey, Jeff. How are you?
Oh, not so bad yourself.
I'm doing great, man. Yeah, we're having a good time here at Identiverse DC.
Yeah.
First time this event.
Yeah.
And we're here in the expo halls. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a great energy level. I love the fact that it's like a manageable size. I've pretty much talked to everybody. I've stopped at just about every booth. And everyone's super friendly and willing to engage.
Yeah. It's been super cool. Had a lot of more listeners than I thought here, which is great. Coming up and saying hello.
Yeah.
So shout out to the Polarian guys. I know that they listen. So fun conversations at Identibeer last night.
Yeah. And we even got on stage and did
Majority rules.
Majority rules.
Yeah.
You get that? You see, it's so memorable. Scott or Hetty.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun. We had, a room full of identity people talking and building on their phones and things like that. So if you attend conferences and we're there and we're part of the agenda, chances are you might see, that game show in the future, that kind of thing. So yeah, it was good times.
And we had an audience member, Deshaun, won an Identity at the Center sticker.
That's the lead prize.
That was the main prize. The second prize that he also received was a free pass for Identiverse, the big Identiverse in Vegas. So lucky. I shouldn't say lucky. I mean, he was like an ace.
He was picking the right answers. He was playing the game. Shout out to Deshaun, did great. Yeah. We had a couple, runner-ups and people kind of, nipping at his heels. But yeah, shout out to Deshaun.
That was how one.
No, you weren't. You were definitely. I never made the board. You did not. So yes, we are here at Identiverse. This is the one in DC, 2025 for dating purposes. Let me go ahead and introduce our guest. His name is John DelMauro. He's the EVP, Executive Vice President of the events business at Cyber Risk Alliance. So welcome for the first time, John.
Great. Well, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so thanks for being with us. First of all, thanks for the partnership. You've been working with you guys and the team. Shout out to Shirley. She's awesome. Shout out to Shirley for the last thing. I feel like a year or so last at Identiverse, maybe before that. So we've been having a good time, and we have fancy walls. We have a tablecloth. So we're starting to get into this a little bit.
Yeah. Now you guys have been a great partner of ours. You bring a lot of energy, a lot of fun, right? I think one thing that we'll talk about in a little bit is I think some events and conferences get a little some boring and stale, and you always want to bring some energy, new ideas, and some fun and some life to them. So thanks for pitching in and doing what you guys do.
Well, we appreciate it. We like to have fun. I kind of follow it's like powder programming. It's like, okay, right. People are here to learn, share ideas. And I opened up our session with, are you going to learn anything? No, probably not. We'll change. And I think hopefully people are done. But yes, it's a great opportunity to have conversations with people. So hallway con is strong here for sure. But then we've also got obviously the different presentations. We heard from a lot of, people who are in the industry, people like Sean O'Dell and Andy Hingel and others. Mega Seamus is across the hall from us here, from Fido. So there's a lot of good conversations taking place. I think what gets lost sometimes is people think like, oh, Identiverse. Yes, I've heard of that. And if you haven't heard of Identiverse, you're really going to arrive because it is the best IN conference series in, I would say, North America. But that's only part of what Cyber Risk Alliance does. And I know I've done a couple other things outside of Identiverse with you guys, but maybe you just have to take a second and kind of tell our audience who and what is Cyber Risk Alliance, and sort of explain some of the things you work on.
Yeah, so Cyber Risk Alliance is about a 6-year-old company. We are a data analytics, events and media company. So we produce content, newsletters, webinars, virtual events. Big piece of our business are live events. So we produce over about 150 different events annually in different size and scale across the portfolio. Obviously, Identiverse being one of them, being our largest. But we run a number of events that are single-day, CISO-focused, regional events for our communities business. So we run about 45 regional events across the country for security professionals and CISOs. We have our communities business that we also run about another 15 invite-only regionalized events. And then we run for those communities about another 60 to 70 dinners to service those areas and sections of the country. And so within the communities business, we'll do one event per year and then have a dinner each quarter in those markets. So our goal is to continue to make sure we service the cybersecurity platform, the industry, and continue to provide them with outlets of information, data, analytics, networking, events, and, providing them a kind of a one-stop shop to get all of that information to be as successful as they can.
John, I've already kind of showed my hand. I have a great time here. Most of the folks I've talked to are having a great time. I wanted to know from you kind of your perspective on what you've run into. How is the vibe? How are people kind of welcoming this event? And by the way, I'll also mention, I think a lot of people would love to go to Identiverse in Vegas, but they can't get approval, right? So having a more East Coast event gives them the opportunity to be here, kind of like sharing this community, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, so, the vibe here has been great, right? It's exactly what we've put forward and thought it would be, meaning that Identiverse is, 3,000-4,000 people, Las Vegas, major production, lots of content, right? Also, very expensive for people to get to and spend time there. Our goal is to not just pop up the tent once a year, but to have events like this for the community to get more of a regionalized based and opportunity for people to come. So, we've got over about 300 people here today. The exhibit hall has been great. The traffic's been great. The feedback that I've gotten from the content, from the traffic has been really good. And we're really pleased with the outcome of what we put forward this year.
Yeah, the food's great too. Yeah, that's always like, for me, that's very important. And all the meals have been served here in the expo hall. It gives people a good opportunity to kind of interact with the exhibitors. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've had a lot of people come over and interact with us. Jeff mentioned, hey, a lot of people are stopping by and say, love the podcast, and shout out to all the people that have done that and let us know, because it's so important to us just to know that it's actually meaningful to do.
And I got to tell you, this hotel has been great.
Yeah.
It's, I'm kind of a foodie and enjoy all that stuff. And the fact that they have like the Bellagio bakery downstairs and the coffee's great. And so it's been, from that experience point of view, it's been really pleased with the venue.
So I'm a foodie too, and there's a Shake Shack on the first floor. So, you get bonus points just for having a Shake Shack in your facility. I don't have to go outside like an animal and get food. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of cool too. It's like I would say it's a mini Las Vegas, but they do have a casino here. Yeah. So it's funnier stuff for people to do. But getting back to the expo hall, have you interfaced with any of the exhibitors yet? And what's the feedback that you're getting?
Yeah, the feedback, I've talked to most of the folks in here. I think the quality of people that are here, the great thing about what we do is, these aren't sort of, events that people are just looking for swag and stuff, right? So if you're coming here, you're somebody from the industry looking for solutions, looking for partners. And one of the things we pride ourselves on is making sure that we deliver the quantity, even if it's not the quality of thousands of people picking up socks and merch, like making sure that you've got the right people coming to the event, and having genuine, strong conversations. And so, I think the quality's been exceptional, and that's feedback that I've gotten, is that the quality's been really strong.
Well, no fear, because Jim came walking over and with a pair of socks in his hands. He was very happy when that showed up.
I was actually going to say, John, don't disrespect the grease socks. None of them to see those start to
People love socks. He loves the sock. I'm not a sock person, but I know that they're very popular. Yeah. Jim got his, so we're good.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the sessions and maybe some of the hallway conversations that maybe you've been part of. What are some of the major themes that you've been hearing, or topics maybe that have been coming up from people in the hallway here?
Obviously this is a smaller version of Identiverse, right? So we're not as deep and reached across. So, some of the conversation, AI obviously just kind of rules everything right now, right? So you can't go into a session or have a conversation where that's not driving probably a good portion of the conversation. Obviously, that's going to be a big focus for us going into next year, even more so than it's been. But I think, your session was a home run. Everybody loved it, right? The game show.
That was my last question was, what did you think of majority rules and why was it awesome? But
Yeah.
please go ahead.
But, having guys like Andy, right? We've been partnered with Andy for years, even before we acquired the event from Ping. And, bringing his expertise, bringing his knowledge to the main stage last night with his panel was awesome. Having financial institutions like Citigroup or Capital One up there, it's important to make sure that we continue to drive kind of the best in breed and these kinds of organizations up to the dais and talking about the industry, which is really important.
Yeah, you actually mentioned the game show. You also mentioned AI. Jeff, you stuck in the question there that I kind of made fun of, like how much AI gets mentioned. And I've heard other people talking in cheek, like Sean Nadell came on and said, I'm saying AI now. I promise I won't say it again. I kind of feel like we're treating AI like we treated Zero Trust or,
It's like
it's not the same ballgame though.
yeah, it's a capability / marketing term now. And it's like, this podcast now has 100% more AI.
It does.
It does. Like, yes, yeah.
And you look at all the tools that we buy, it's all like AI driven, and it saves us so much time. It's a truly game. I think Zero Trust is a game changer. I think it got abused, and now when people, at least on the conferences that I've been to lately, they talk about Zero Trust is not like a punchline anymore. I don't want AI to be a punchline.
But I think some of that is because the marketing has eased up the gas a little bit, right? So a couple of years ago, you go to RSA, and Identiverse, a Gartner, like any conference, vendors are going to vent. And so they want to put whatever the buzzword is. So, oh, yes, we are your 100% Zero Trust partner, right? And really they only do a part of it. AI is a little bit like that. I'm kind of seeing that with agentic AI and agentic identity. And so I'm starting to see that as like a trend showing up with vendors trying to figure out what is their position and trying to address that part of it.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. It's just this is the world that we're in.
And everybody's using it, right? You're using it as a consumer. Your kids are using it for their schoolwork or whatever it may be. Every marketing team is using that for their creative assets, how they're talking to their customers. And so to me, it feels that it's not just endemic to this, but it touches everybody, whether it's for the technology, for your marketing, for your sales team, building content, building productions, building collateral.
I kind of feel the same way with like AI agents. We were talking about, here come these AI agents 6 months ago. And now it's like, I'm building AI agents. Jeff's building AI agents. And it's like, wow, this tidal wave is moving quicker than anyone I've seen before.
For sure. Well, it's very accessible also. So it's the most accessible technology wave I've seen in a while. Usually the technology has done more like plumbing, but now it has an interface. And so you've got a website, you can go do things.
It's an interface that everyone knows how to use and figures out extremely quickly.
Chat to it or talk to it or whatever it being. John, you kind of answered part of a question I wanted to go on a sidetrack with you and that is AI. How is AI like impacting or influencing what you do and like your role and like, putting on events and marketing, right? And all that kind of goes along with it. Like, where does it impact you the most?
Yeah. So I think the one great thing about live events and why I love it so much, and I've been doing this for 30 years, is that AI can't build to this. It can't, put butts in seats. It can't bring, serve you coffee. You can't have a conversation with in the hallway, right? So that's what's really genuine about in person that AI just can't do or technology can't do. And that's why this business is so important. What it does for us is it makes our life so much easier now, right? From databasing content, recruiting speakers, building marketing plans, talking to the industry like we're from the industry, which is really important, which is sometimes hard to do when you have marketing managers and content people that aren't experts in the industry, right? And so, we've got to talk to the industry as the consumers and making sure that it's relevant. And AI has certainly helped us, I think, position ourselves better as experts. I was working with Chris Tanaka and Andy on building out the some of the sessions and some of the speakers for next year. And literally, spent 10, 15 minutes using Google Gemini and putting in like financial services, who are the leaders, who are the speakers for banks, insurance companies, manufacturing, automotive, CPG, and in 3 minutes.
Does all the analysis for you.
There's literally, 100, whether they're endemic speakers or people that we know that you guys know, or people that you may have never heard of working for Boeing or things like that, it spits out where they've spoken, what they've done, how's it connected to identity and access. And that was I'm like, oh my God, we just identified 100 people that weren't really on our radar that could or could not be applicable, but that's just cut out. Typically I would call one of you guys and say, hey, who's the latest and greatest, and who are you guys working with, and who do you want to hear from? And that just took hours of research and compiled it into a,
We'd say, hold on, John, let me check
right.
But speaking of that exact topic, right now you're starting to formulate what the next Identiverse in Las Vegas is going to look like from an agenda perspective. What are some of the big themes that you're expecting to touch on?
Yeah, so one of the themes that we're working on, or the theme, is sort of global identity, right? And how it touches basically everyone and everything. And, so I think a lot of the themes will, once again, be consistent, right? Because we don't want to go away from the core, where this started. Right. But at the same time, you've always got to evolve and grow. Right. So, we're going to still we introduced the NHI workshop and pavilion last year. We're going to work with the NHI management group on building that out even more and making that bigger and more important.
That Choda's group, right?
I'll be happy to hear that.
Yeah, I'll be happy.
That's my guy, Mr. NHI, right? But he's been a phenomenal partner with us. And looking forward to expanding that. Would like to replicate that some sort with AI, right? Just to go back to that. But we had a workshop on that last year. I think that could be bigger and just a little deeper than what we did last year. We're trying to work on an AI pavilion on the show floor next year. Continuing on the trends with we had the workshops on continuous and personal identity. Something like that from a workshop point of view. Something we're introducing this year for the first time is we're going to have a one-on-one networking platform that's going to enable us to work through an algorithm to connect, interested parties. So we're going to do that on the front end of the event. We just invested in the technology to help us do that. So we've always had the matchmaking that you can go through the app. This is going to be, way more organized, and the algorithm's really going to bring people together to have meetings and utilize your time on site.
So I assume this is like an opt-in. Is this you started to describe it. I know it's not this, but I just make the joke anyway. It's like a Tinder for
we've always said you want the Tinder, the Bumble or the Tinder for this business. But these guys spend so much money. We all spend so much money and time.
Yeah.
And how do you find a way to bring that together in a one-to-one, concentrated, efficient way, right? Because I think all elements of the show, but I've been in this business for a long time. I've done it at some of the other companies I've worked on. Peers of mine that are working on other shows outside of cybersecurity are doing it. And it's going to be a big, new key driver for our success this year.
So talk to me a little bit more about this idea of these one-on-one meets. You have a clear vision, who are the two sides of the one-on-one?
I mean, it can really be, this industry, I came from financial services for many years, right? And so the buyer-seller relationship was super clear. I'm a payments processing company. I want to talk to a bank, right? This industry, it's not as, it's not the buyer-seller exactly, right? So, it's really for anybody that wants to connect, whatever your interests are, what are you trying to solve for? And building out those profiles, and then we're connecting you on the back end of that, right? So it's really based upon what your interests are, what your needs are, and trying to solve those.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So, if you have a question about, some, from you need answers from an attorney or things like that about, some standards and things like that, we would try and map that through the algorithm to connect you guys. And then the way it sets is that we set up little tables with 2 seats, and on the front end of the conference, when there's nothing else going on, we're going to orchestrate that and execute that on the front end of the event. So during the rest of the event, you can go to the exhibit hall, you can go to the receptions, go to your parties, go to the sessions and all that stuff. So,
okay. That sounds pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine, or, fill out a profile of some sort, right? And say, here's my interests. Here's what I would like to talk about. I mean, it's helpful because I think, no offense to like content, like that's great. But a lot of people, the big value are the hallway conversations, right? Yeah. It is the networking. It's the fellowship, whatever you want to call it. You go for the content, but you have conversations in the hallway.
And can you organize that a little bit more so you don't just like happen to run into someone, right?
Or rely on somebody to introduce you, or, look, we all start on the outside somewhere, and it's like, okay, you're on the outside of the ring. And I think, we've tried to think better as a industry, the identity industry of, hey, bring somebody, like introduce somebody to someone, right? So, hey, have you met my friend Jim? Have you met my friend John, right? Get people in a conversation. Some people are good at it. Some people aren't. Yep. I think it's just another way to expand that networking on.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because when I did this for financial services and then I did it for commercial real estate technology, and everybody was open to, especially on the commercial real estate side, connect with people. And when I got to, cybersecurity, I was told, everybody's concerned about their privacy. Nobody's going to download the app. Nobody's going to network. Nobody's going to talk to each other. And I kind of called BS on that, right? Because I think, I know privacy, people still take it seriously, but like you're here for a reason and you want to meet people, right? There's still plenty of people that won't. But the more and more I see is that, it's less about the privacy of like, who am I meeting with or my app? And you want to maximize your time here. And so, right. I've seen that come a long way over the 4.5 years that I've been in cybersecurity. And it's even identity, like, oh, they'll never do that. They'll never do that. I'm like, BS. Like, people are people and they want to meet and connect. So I think it's going to be a big part of the puzzle for Identiverse.
You're right. I mean, why do people get on a plane or travel to go to a conference with people? It's because they want to meet other people. If you just are going from session to session, not talking to anybody, you could do that from home, watching remotely or something. So people want to have those interactions. I've had some great interactions this week. Jeff nailed it. Identiverse in Las Vegas is like the event of the year. You're planning that. I'd love to get a hot take or give us some like information. What's it going to be like? And is there anything you can tell us that maybe you'll be making public for the first time? I'd love to have a piece of that for the show.
Yeah, give us the scoop, John.
We might have puppies this year.
Okay.
Go
on, I'm listening. I'm a dog person.
Yeah. No, I think, where this conversation started about like, you all have a lot of opportunities to go to things, right? And I'm a big believer that it's got to be incredibly valuable, important, and fun, right? And so, I think we're going to try and drive more of that, more innovation content on the show floor, more of the pavilions, more, experiences and activations outside of the floor in different areas at the Mandalay Bay. And it's really important to make sure that we're creating value for everyone. And, I want you to leave there and come back and be like, that was awesome. It's like, I have to be there. And then you're going to tell 4 or 5 of your friends that you have to be here. It was so fun. The party at this place or the event at this place and the main stage production was over the top and it was great. And so, we're working on all that right now. Our big goal is to get ahead of it. And we've got a bunch of keynotes that we're working on right now and some really cool stuff. And, I can't drop that right now, but hopefully, our goal is to have a good portion of those big time name speakers, confirmed by the end of December and in market by the 1st of January. And you'll see like kind of the investment in what we're trying to do for next year.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say that the Mandalay is an awesome location. I'm glad you're going back there again. I just had an idea. You can take it, leave it, whatever you want to do with it, but I remember going to some conferences maybe a decade ago, and they'd have like beanbag chairs everywhere. Like you could just sit down and relax and get on your laptop. I'd love to see beanbag chairs.
Until you have to get up.
Yeah.
And then you could make a beach turtle trying to get out of it. I know Megan and Adrian from Fight Alliance, they're big on beanbag chairs. So if you go to like Authenticate, they have their beanbag flippers, which are fun. But they sound great in theory until you have to get up.
I'll see if I can get you a beanbag chair.
Yeah.
And your own personal one.
My own personal one.
Yeah.
That'd be funny.
So let me ask you a final question here as we kind of wrap things up. You're putting on all of these events, right? You're focused on identity and security and all the things that Cyberist does. But let's say you're not doing that. You can put together whatever con you want. John Con, DelMauro Con, whatever. What is that convention? What is the topic or the theme? And where do you host it?
So I think about this all, if I was going to do this on my own and what I would do. And not to be cliche, but like health and wellness, like really, really has come so far, right? I've been working out and doing stuff for my whole life, basically playing sports. And I have 2 boys playing, high level lacrosse, and how much time and effort they put into it. And, I asked a buddy of mine, like, how many private lessons did you have growing up? And the answer was 0, right? And I've given my kids, and all of our kids have gotten all these things. And, I think health and wellness is a significant piece of our life. It's not going away. I've invested in studios and fitness concepts and things like that. And so it's like where my passion is. Where the technology's taking that business. I mean, I don't know if you guys wear a Whoop, but I wear a Whoop, and tells me I don't sleep enough to probably drink too much, but it's really fascinating. Like the more and more and more you read about this and understand it, like where that is going, so that's one of my passions. And if it wasn't that, it'd probably be something around wine and food. So.
Where would you have this health pop? What's the location?
I think Austin, Texas is the greatest place.
Really?
Lots of technologies kind of consume that place. It's an incredibly fit city, right? I just love Austin, right? Like, you can run down by the river. They've got all these concepts. Bike, you've got the water, you can row, you can boat, you can do all this kind of stuff. I think just Austin's got a great music scene, super fun, great food. It's like one of my favorite spots. So that's probably where I would host
it. Spot. They got a comedy scene too, good stand-up.
Yeah,
down there.
Yeah. I've not gone to the Mothership yet, but
okay, yeah.
Yeah. Have you?
I have not. Yeah. But I've been to Austin maybe just a couple times, and I travel for work, and I rarely spend extra time where I'm at. I'm in and out for business, but that is one of the things that I want to do is go see I go see a comedy show, go see something like a Kill Tony or something like that. I love stand-up comedy, and any chance I can get to do like that. So that's on my list, but also going to like New York City. And I've been in New York City a bunch of times, but I've never actually made it to a comedy club, like, East Village or wherever it may be. But
so how about you guys? What if you weren't doing a podcast for Identity?
I think we'd go into it together, John, and I want to sharpen it a little bit, see if you're on board. Longevity.
Yep.
So this longevity trend, it's like one of my mind worms, mind viruses that I get onto YouTube and I watch all these people. It's getting so big now, and there's all these different branches that, and I don't think it goes super nerdy, academic longevity. It would be more, of course, research-based, but it would be more of the commercial. How does the average Joe wind up juicing the length and quality of their life, rather than just, living to 80, maybe living to 90, but also making that last 10 years more valuable. Mm-hmm. Having more muscle, that's part of it, but it's also all the other things, what are the supplements you could be taking? What are the things you can do to improve the quality and length of your life?
Yeah. If you can get me to show up, that's the trick. Yeah. Yes.
And I know Austin, I just think that, it wouldn't take long till you're in Vegas where you have to have Comic-Con level, space. Under the people showing up at your conference because you're the top longevity conference that could definitely,
for sure.
What do you think, Jeff?
I'm a total nerd and dork, so it would probably be something technology related. I know there's already a podcast thing that happens, so maybe something like that. NAB, National and something, Association of Broadcasters has a conference. So I don't know what it would be, but it would be probably some sort of nerd con, pretty cool technology crap. And let's play with it and see what works. I'll tell you, as a kid growing up, I went to the Consumer Electronics Show. It was in Chicago at the McCormick Center, and it was when the Nintendo was at the height of its hour, the original Nintendo. And I was blown away at how cool it was to be in this giant convention center. I was probably 11 or 12, would be able to play games that were coming out, in the future, and seeing all the different technologies and stuff like that. CES is now massive. It's in Vegas.
Yeah.
It's. I will attend one at some point, but that's the kind of thing that would interest me. Would be, something like that.
Cool.
Yeah. And I would do it in Japan probably. So I've never really been to Japan other than the 2 airports on my ways coming and going from other areas. But I think I would love to go to Japan because they definitely have the technology footprint that I'm interested in.
All right. That's the other thing we need. We need an Identiverse Tokyo. So, John,
Sign me up.
let us know when you're ready for that, and we will be happy to be a media partner.
Perfect. Yeah. We're always looking for a reason to travel. It's the real gospel of Identity at the Center to everybody. All right. Well, this has been a great conversation. John, I can't thank you enough for your partnership. It's been a great ride. Let's keep it going into 2026. Again, I want you to shout out Shirley. She's awesome to work with. We're texting back and forth. She's like making sure we got our convenient. I'm making sure that she's got her that she needs from us. So it's been a great partnership there.
And at that point, I was just like, my team is awesome, right?
Awesome.
I mean, it's so fun building these things, and when you got like a cohesive team all kind of rowing the boat together, and the benefit that you come and experience this, but kudos to these guys for busting their hump to making all this stuff happen, because without them, this doesn't exist.
Chris has been awesome. She's been around. She's like this silence, like conference ninja. She's walking around. She's like making sure everything's going all right. Yeah. She's like, all right, let's fix this. Yeah, for sure. Super calm and very fun to work with as well.
Cool.
So, all right, let's go ahead and wrap it up for this conversation. Let's see, we're on the web, iacpodcast.com. I have links in our show notes to connect with John on LinkedIn, and also to the Cyber Risk Alliance. You can learn about all the stuff they work on. Again, not just Identiverse, but so much more. And then, like and subscribe. That helps us get out to these conferences, have great conversations, and all that fun stuff. And so leave it there for this week. Thanks, everyone, for watching and or listening, and we'll talk with you all on the next one.
Thanks, guys.
You've been listening to Identity at the Center. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hit the website at identityatthecenter.com. See you next time on Identity at the Center.